Hey guys, Brian Baldwin here with Prime Lending. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about assets and what we look for. So two things. One, I want to go over what kind of information that we need on your assets. And then two, I wanted to go over how much we can count on each asset. So let's dive into what we need first. And I'll say typically we're going to need your last 2 months of statements on each account. So, checking and savings accounts, those are easy. You can probably go to your bank's online website and get the e-statements for the last 2 months of activity there. Now, running balance printouts are generally not going to be accepted on there. We're going to need the actual e-statements that look like what you would have gotten in the mail out there. So, or we can accept a bank printout that's signed and dated. And this is general mortgage industry acceptance of documents here. So nothing really out of the ordinary or specific to us. Generally, your lender is going to need 2 months of statements for your checking and savings accounts out there. So for your retirement accounts, sometimes those are a little bit differently. Sometimes those are quarterly. So your last quarterly statement usually works with that. If there's been significant time between the last quarterly statement that's ended, if you can also get the updated activity from the quarter end until present, that would be great. That usually comes in when there's been at least a month that's elapsed since your quarterly statement. So retirement account statements are typically handled that way. Brokerage account statements, so this is trading stocks and bonds and that sort of thing, non-retirement oriented. Sometimes I see those things quarterly, sometimes they're monthly out there. So, if it's monthly, go ahead and get the last 2 months of statements on there. If it's quarterly, same thing as the retirement account, your last quarterly statement and then some interim activity from the end of that statement to present day. Would be beneficial. So let's back up and go back to the checking and savings account statements and what we're looking for. So we are scanning through the statements. We don't care that you've been to the same restaurant 6 times in a row. That's not what we're looking at. What we are looking at is items that have been deposited that we can't readily see if they are your paycheck or a transfer from a different account. Out there. So we may ask some questions on that just to make sure, hey, what was this deposit out there? We may ask you for a letter of explanation or an email of an explanation, and then also maybe a copy of the item deposited if it was a check or something like that. So that's typically where we would go with those, and those are easy enough. Generally, we can count 100% of the money that's on deposit in a checking, savings account, CD, that sort of thing out there. 100% of the available cash. Out there. There's no penalties to get it, so we can give you 100% of that typically. For brokerage accounts, so non-retirement accounts, since there are differences in how those stocks and bonds are traded each day, we can typically count 70% of that account balance, which takes into account that market fluctuation out there. So 70% of those balances. Now, retirement accounts are a little bit different as well. Sometimes there are a lot of times there are penalties and fees associated with getting that cash. And then we also look at your vested balance. So especially if you're participating in your employer's 401k, then your vested balance may be different than the account balance. You may need to have worked there for a specific length of time before you're fully vested in all that money and it's actually yours. So we look for the vested balance with a retirement account, and typically we're going to use 60% of whatever that vested balance is. But again, guys, if I can circle back around, in this segment, completeness counts for a lot. If there are 12 pages to an account statement, I do need pages 1 through 12, even if there is nothing included on pages 9, 10, and 11, intentionally blank, balancing page, what have you. We do need to have all the pages. Completeness counts for a lot in this segment. Guys, if you have any questions, call me, 803-730-0027. Shoot me an email, brian.baldwin@primelending.com, Brian with a Y out there. And then also visit me on the website. That is www.team-baldwin.com. You can hit the Apply Now button right there and cruise on through the website application. I'll get your information and I'll begin working on it for you. Guys, until we talk again, have a great day. Look forward to hearing from you.